I'm really so excited to be last because the presentation that I have for you today is not so much a presentation as it is a participatory, improvisational art, and you are the artists. So we're going to just start with a few slides. First, this one now. How many of these brands can you name? All of them. And probably I could add 10 more that you could add. Oh. So, we're going to start off talking about civilized design. Well, if we're going to move forward, let's see. There we go. So we're going to have some examples of that, and the first example are parties in which people get together, sort of like we are. But as you can see in this picture, the two people are not talking, they're on their devices. This is very common nowadays. It's part of what we're calling civilized design. A well-developed culture is also part of civilized design. You can see here, every day, a pile of bottles half the size of the Eiffel Tower are piling up, plastic bottles. That's part of our civilized design. It's going under the water, in the oceans and riverways, and into the breast milk. We want to stay on this slide, see? It's improvisational. And in our civilized society, we have an unprecedented rate of suicide. So people are not happy living in this civilized society. And in fact, Japan is considered one of the most civilized societies on earth. Has been for a long time. So defuturing brings us to the work of Tony Fry. He talks about defuturing as the condition whereby we are perpetuating circumstances that annihilate the future. And I'm definitely standing too far from this machine. All right, which brings us to recoding. And I was really happy that Madeline spoke a little bit about this work of Boyes and Kruger and Warhol. This is in the beginning, the idea of using art to change the status quo. I shop, therefore I am. Now, we're going to enter in uncivilized design. And you, as the artist, are going to enter this too. We're going to start with a breathing exercise. Yes? Okay. Well, we're almost, yeah, we will be. So, we don't have much time to uncivilize ourselves. So please, please just hold your breaths. That's all you have to do. 1, 2, 3, hold them as long as you can. Go. Have you given up? People are still holding. Okay, good, good. You're holding a very long time. There's people waiting. All right, the point of the exercise of breathing is to bring us to this. Uncivilized design, the principle behind it is that we are interdependent with all that is. So a lot of times people go around and they think they're not with nature. They're outside of nature. We're in this room, and there's not much nature around. There's some plants outside, but in fact, as long as we're breathing, nature is with us. The trees are with us. They're with us in the air that we're breathing. So we're always interconnected with the natural world. So that's point one of uncivilized design. The next one is a memory exercise. In this exercise, I want you to close your eyes and go back to when you were probably 10, 8, 9, 10, 11. And in that place, in that age, I want you to think about an animal. Find an animal that you wish that you could communicate with. For some people, that might take longer than for others. But due to our time constraints, we're going to hope that you found an animal that you wanted to talk to and that you know what it is. And you can return to us here if you want to open your eyes. Point 2 of uncivilized design. Uncivilized design cherishes life. Not just human life, all life, plant life, animal life. That's the 2 basic components. Brings us to rewilding. Rewilding has a couple of different definitions. Originally introduced by the Earth First movement, it was an activist idea to rewild the world, get back to nature, live with nature. Then it got picked up and talked about by E.O. Wilson, and it became a kind of biological movement of corridors for carnivores, right? The United Nations actually involved in rewilding. This is going on as we speak, people working on it. And my definition here is the condition whereby we can perpetuate circumstances that enliven the future. So for the futurists and future thinkers, that's the point of the rewilding here. Now, how many of these species can you name? Can you name as many of them as you could recognize of brands? I actually did a version of this presentation with some college students, and one of the young ladies said, "But why should we know these? They're not really part of our lives. We know all the other ones because we use them all the time." Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of truth to that. But, I mean, it's an interesting question. Foxglove, digitalis, it's one of the medicines that's used for the heart. Bluebirds, they're very common. Where are they common? Not in Berlin, huh? So yeah, it's in. Oh, really? Yeah. Well, I mean, do you recognize it as a bluebird? Yeah, no, some people know. Okay, so yeah, that's the point. I mean, now we're going to do our sort of final exercise. Well, we're speeding things up, but in this sense exercise, I'm going to ask you to do something. And first, I'm going to go through these slides. Sight, hearing, smelling, and touch. In this exercise, what I want you to do is go back into your imagination again. So close your eyes. And this time, I want you to take off your shoes. I mean, you don't have to literally, but in your mind's eye, take off your shoes and be barefoot. And find yourself somewhere in a natural space, in the natural world. Anywhere you want. It's not a guided visualization. It's your own mind going on its own journey. And what I want you to do there, the first thing, is notice what you see. And try to hold on to these memories. Just spend some time looking around. The next thing I want you to do is spend some time listening. What do you hear in the environment? The next thing I want you to do is just smell. Smell what's in the environment. And finally, I want you to feel what's beneath your feet. What do you feel beneath your feet? Okay, you can come back. And I'd love to just have one person to volunteer and tell us, where did you go? Do we have a volunteer? Yes, in the back? Okay.
Well, for me it was really, okay, we don't have the time. So I was in the beach, I was
Okay.
in the sun that was burning my body, I was barefoot of course. I was feeling the warm and wet sun under my feet, and I was watching and hearing the sea, it was just moving. And I was wondering if anybody has thought anything beyond something in nature. I mean, immediately when I took my feet, my mind was somewhere in a very natural space. So I don't know.
How many people went to the beach? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I'm asking because he went there. Yes. So that means that everyone who didn't raise their hand went somewhere else. And I wish that we had time to hear about where more people went. Maybe we could hear one more person? Okay. 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 What were you smelling?
Probably, I wasn't sure. I think it was the stew from the little hut down there.
The stew from the little hut. Nice. The human animal was around. No, it's interesting. Smell is one of the things that we disassociate ourselves from the most. That started to happen in the industrial age, where everything needed to be sort of one smell. We shouldn't have smells because smell reminds us that we're animals, actually. So it's devalued. All right, so we're going to look here at uncivilized design. We're going to just come back here together, and we're going to say, what if uncivilized design, if we applied our rewilding to civilized design, we could still have groups of people gathering together, singing and dancing, perhaps without our technology present. Well-developed culture. Well, there's many places like this, but there's a growing number of places that are defutured. So an uncivilized society would have more places like this. That's one of the goals of the Rewilding Half-Earth movement founded by E.O. Wilson, to give half the earth to other animals. That's supposedly the critical amount we need to protect in order to survive, is half the earth. So uncivilized design is aligned with these ideas: permaculture, biomimicry, ecological design, and ethical design, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. I would go through explaining them if we had more time. We don't. So to foster sustainability and redirective uncivilized design practice, we use our senses to rewild our domesticated minds. We go where the wild things are. We use our senses to experience our wild, and we recode design using our wild experience. Finally, why? Why do we do this? We do this because we're increasingly moving into a metaverse and into artificial realities in which we can easily imagine a future not too dissimilar to the Matrix films, right? And one of the problems we have with that is we can stay connected to our gadgets and stay in one place and ski on a mountainside and inside of our mind. But the more people that do that, the more disconnected they are with the actual natural world. And by disconnected, I mean they're not actively fighting to protect it because they're hooked up living in a virtual space, while the outside space becomes worse and worse. And then, of course, why would you want to be in the outside world? Because the virtual world is so much more pleasant. So that's why. Thank you for participating.